everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you've all had a wonderful day. Today's video is kind of a mashup of two videos. So the first part is going to be my February reading wrap up because I meant to film it at the beginning of February, no, at the beginning of March, and now we're at the end. And then the other half is going to be my TBR for April. So my TBR is going to be slightly different, but I'll explain it when I get there. So I only read 4 books in February. I plan to read 6 every month, 5 that I choose from my shelves, and then 1 buddy read that I do with my lovely friend Nikki. But February was a flop in terms of reading. It just didn't go well for me, really, at all. So I'd planned to read, well, I'll go through the ones I read first. So I actually don't have the physical copies of 3 of the books I read because either I gave them back, I lent them to a friend, or I've decluttered them. So the only one I have to show you is Fire by Kristen Cashore. And I gave this one 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. So it doesn't link particularly with Graceling at all until like the last 10 pages, maybe, if that. So it follows Fire, who is a monster, and she has the power to change people's minds, to enter their minds and know what they're thinking, and also kind of get them to do things if she needs them to, which she tries not to do, but as time goes on throughout the novel, you kind of understand why she does. I really enjoyed it, actually. I think the romantic element part of it I really enjoyed. I do like a fantasy romance. This was more fantasy than romance, but it had a romantic element which I enjoy. And I felt like it was a really nice kind of, we're 2 really different people, but we can kind of come together, which I enjoyed. I did think though that the ending was a little bit too fast paced. It was wrapped up far too quickly for me. I felt kind of like the beginning of the book was setting up for this big thing, and then the ending was like, and it was rushed and it was finished too fast, which was a shame. I'm not entirely sure how these are going to particularly link up in the 3rd book, which is Bitter Blue, but we shall find out. So there's that. The next book that I read, and I don't have to show you, was Everything Everything by Nicola Yoon. So that follows a young girl who is stuck living inside her house because of a rare disease. It means she can't go outside because she is basically allergic to life. So her mum keeps her safe inside until she meets the boy next door, Ollie, and everything kind of goes from there. So I gave it 3 stars. There's a reason for that. So I really enjoyed kind of the relationship forming between the 2 main characters. I thought it was really nice. But the ending for me, I kind of saw it coming, which is why it lost a star. But also I really didn't like it. Like, it's a twist that I think made the book, but in terms of my feelings towards it, I just didn't enjoy the twist. I can't really tell you anything else about it, but I also felt like I needed a little bit more after it was finished than what I got as well. I'm one of these people that once the story kind of wraps up and either people are together or something happens, I like to know what happens after, and you don't always get that in a book, which makes me sad. But yeah, so I only gave 3 stars, and then I decluttered it because I thought it's not a book I would read again. I do want to watch the film. I believe it's on Netflix, but I haven't got around to it yet. Next up was Helen Hanf's 84 Charing Cross Road. Now, I gave it 3 stars. I really enjoyed so basically it follows Helen, and she is writing to a bookshop, and she lives in America, and she's writing to a bookshop in England to try and get her like favorite books or books she would really like, and it's the exchange of letters between her and somebody else. And I really enjoyed the reading of the letters. The only part of it for me that I found tricky was when she finally comes to England, and I felt like her exchanges between people were really choppy, and I found it a little bit difficult to follow towards the end. I did enjoy it. I would possibly read the letter element again. But yeah, as I say, the ending, well, the last sort of part of the book where she meets different people that she's either heard about or she's written to over the years, just felt a bit choppy for me. But yeah, that's how it is. Then next up was Enid Blyton's 13 O'Clock. I don't have it, I decluttered it. So it was a book I believe we had maybe growing up, but I don't remember any of the stories in it. Oh, good go on. Yeah, I don't remember any of the stories in it, and I think I got about 30, 40 pages in. It was a 200-page book, and I just really wasn't interested in completing it. It felt too young for me. I think if a child was reading it, it would be fine. But yeah, it just felt too young for me. So I decluttered it, DNF'd it. It was gone. And then next up, I plan to read Serena Valentino's Mother Knows Best. It's one of the Disney Villains series. I had all the books up until recently. And again, it's a 400-page book, and I got about 50 to 100 pages in, and I just wasn't really interested. And I think I'd kind of struggled with a couple of the other ones that I tried to read as well in that series. A couple were really good, some of them I really enjoyed the story, but others I found a bit of like a slow slog to get through them, and I just thought I wasn't really enjoying the series, so I decluttered all 8 books in the end. I sent them to a lovely lady and I hope she enjoys them. But yeah, it just wasn't for me, so I did declutter that one as well. And then finally, the book I actually read, so making 4, was Sally Thorne's The Hating Game. So I have watched Noelle Gallagher talk about this book a million times. I bought it probably when she first started talking about it, and it took me ages to get around to reading it, and I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was really good. I quite enjoy an enemies to lovers trope. I think it's funny, it's interesting. There were a couple of moments where I sort of thought, "Oh, that's a weird thing to happen." I can't tell you what it is. Unless you've read the book, you may know that yourself. But yeah, there were a couple of moments where I thought that's weird, but I still enjoyed what was happening. I did watch the film recently on Amazon, and yeah, I wasn't taken by the film particularly. I thought it was good, but it just wasn't. I think I could watch it again, but not in a serious kind of way. Like, I just enjoyed the book. I loved the book. The film is just a bit, eh, but it was okay. Right, so then moving on to the second part of this video is my TBR. So normally I use my deck of cards and we pull them out and I go by the prompts on that to pick the books I plan on reading. But because February was a bit of a flop, and March kind of was too, spoiler, I have decided to just pick out 5 plus my buddy read books that I'm just really interested in getting to. So I haven't used prompts or anything. I've pre-picked them, so they're all sat here ready to show you. And I've just gone for books that I really think are going to give me a good reading month. Obviously, I don't pick them normally thinking, oh, this book's going to be rubbish. But these are the ones I've kind of been holding out on or just really want to get to. So yeah, let's get into it. I do have a load of new books on this shelf, and I do plan on doing a birthday book haul because my birthday was in March. And yes, I am planning on doing a birthday book haul. I am still waiting on a couple of books to arrive and things, so that will be coming soon. So yes, you will see one new book from my birthday book haul in this stack. But other than that, I am hanging on to the rest. So let's get into it. So the first one I have is a page tune, If You Could Go Anywhere. How far would you go for love? So I love Page Tune. I think she's an absolute gem. And I've dropped it. Yeah, I think she's an absolute gem, and her books have brought me joy and tears, and just that she's a great author. I really, really recommend her books if you love a little bit of chick lit romance. So I do have all her books, and I went through and I kind of read the blurb of all of them, and this one was the one I decided to go for. So it says, "How do you find where you're going if you don't know where you're from?" Angie has always wanted to travel, but at 27 she's barely stepped outside the small mining town where she was born. Instead, she discovers the world through stories told to her by passing travellers, dreaming that one day she'll see it all for herself. When her grandmother passes away, leaving Angie with no remaining family, she is ready to start her own adventures. Then she finds a letter revealing the address of the father she never knew, and realizes instantly where her journey must begin: Italy. As Angie sets out to find the truth about her family, her past, and who she really is, will mysterious and reckless Italian Alessandro help guide the way? I'm excited. I think it sounds great. I kind of wanted to pick an easy one of hers. There's a few where it has multiple like main characters and things, and this one just seemed like the easiest and most enjoyable at the moment. I want hot sunny weather, and I feel like this one's gonna give it to me. So there's that. Next up is one I've been putting off reading for a really long time, and I actually just really want to get to it. And it's The Diary of a Young Girl and Frank. So if you've been with me a while, you probably know where I bought this one. I picked this one up in the Anne Frank house in Amsterdam, and I, yes, have been putting it off for ages. Not because I don't think I'll enjoy it. I do. I think it's one that I just have been saving for the right time and, haven't picked up. So I'm very excited to get to it. But it just says, The Diary of a Young Girl is one of the most celebrated and enduring books of the last century. Tens of millions have read it since it was first published in 1947, and it remains a deeply admired testament to the indestructible nature of the human spirit. Anne Frank and her family fled the horrors of Nazi occupation by hiding in the back of a warehouse in Amsterdam for 2 years with another family and a German dentist. Aged 13, she went into the secret annex and kept a diary. She movingly revealed how the 8 people living under these extraordinary conditions coped with hunger, the daily threat of discovery, and death, and being cut off from the outside world, as well as petty misunderstandings and the unbearable strain of living like prisoners. So yeah, I am really excited to get to it. I haven't ever read Anne Frank, I don't think. I know some people read it at school, but it wasn't one that my class picked up. I have seen the TV adaptation, and I've been to a couple of performances at theatres to see it. Yeah, it's really good. So I'm hoping I enjoy the book too. I'm sure I will. So there is that one. Next up is one, again, I've had for a little while. I think this one might have been a couple of birthdays ago. But it's The Flip Side by James Bailey. And yeah, it just sounds really intriguing. So it says, it's New Year's Eve and Josh has a high-flying proposal planned. An exclusive pod on the London Eye with champagne, truffles and the ring. It's perfect until she says no. And they have to spend the next 29 excruciating minutes alone. I can't imagine anything worse. Well, I can, but, By the time Josh is back on the ground, his whole life is up in the air. He's managed to lose his girlfriend, his job, and his flat. Realizing he can't trust his own judgment, Josh puts his faith in fate. From now on, he will make every choice by flipping a coin. It's reckless and scary, but Josh has tried the right way, and look where he ended up. And what if the girl of his dreams is just one flip of a coin away? I think it sounds great. I would love to be able to kind of do that for a day. Maybe a weekend day. I will give it a go and make all my decisions by flipping a coin. But yeah, I'm excited. I think this sounds good. I'm intrigued to find out why his girlfriend says no. I think that's quite interesting, but we shall see. So there is that. Next up is one that I have kind of been trying to fit in to my TBR since I read the first book, and I haven't managed it. It's A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. So this is the second book in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. And I'm not going to read the back because I feel like if you haven't read the first book, this is going to ruin it. But I thoroughly enjoyed the first book. I really enjoyed the romance in it, and I know potentially a little bit that alters in this book, and I'm a little bit scared. Everyone says it's amazing and you really, really love it, but because I enjoyed the first one so much, I'm unsure of this one. I believe everybody when they say it's great and it's a really nice kind of change, but I'm not sure how I feel. So I have put it in my TBR, but look how big it is. It is, let me see. It is 623 chapters, which is a hefty book and one that I don't normally read books this big. Let's put it that way. So there's that. The next book I have in my stack is Bitter Blue, which is the third book in the Graceling series. I will be reading this with Nikki. I know she has a lot of books again for the coming month. I think she's doing a challenge. What is it? A book. The word has gone out of my head. But yeah, I think she's doing a couple of challenges next month, so she is probably going to have a hefty list. But I'm excited to get to the third book. We are leaving it till the end of the month. But again, this is a big book. This one is nearly 600 pages as well. Again, I'm not going to read the back because I think it's going to give away stuff if you haven't read the other two. I recommend giving the other two a read. I think they were good. And then finally, possibly the one I'm most excited about is this one. It's The Invisible Husband of Frick Island by Colleen Oakley. This one I ordered off Amazon for my birthday, and it was actually really expensive, and I think it's because you can predominantly only get it in America, which I think is weird. But yeah, it was actually kind of expensive for a paperback. I think it was like £11, and it's been out a while, so I don't know. Anyway, so it says, sometimes all you need is one person to really see you. Piper Parish's life on Frick Island, a tiny remote town smack in the middle of the Chesapeake Bay, is nearly perfect. Well, aside from one pesky detail. Her beloved husband, Tom, is dead. When Tom's crab boat capsized and his body wasn't recovered, Piper, rocked to the core, did a most peculiar thing. She carried on as if her husband were not only still alive, but right there beside her. She cooked him breakfast, walked him to the docks each morning, and met him for their standard weekly dinner date at the One-Eyed Crab. And what were the townspeople to do but go along with their beloved widow, Piper? Anders Cadwell's career is not going well. An ambitious young journalist, he'd hoped to be a national award-winning podcaster by now, rather than writing fluff pieces for a small-town newspaper. But when he gets an assignment to travel to remote Frick Island and cover their boring annual cake walk fundraiser, he stumbles upon a much more fascinating tale. An entire town pretending to see and interact with a man who does not actually exist. Convinced it's the career-making story he needs for his podcast, Anders returns to the island to begin covert research and spend more time with the enigmatic Piper. But he has no idea that out of all the lives he's about to upend, it's his that will change the most. I just think it sounds lovely. I think it's going to be sad, but I'm okay with that. But I think it's going to be really good at the same time. And it is incredibly floppy, which we love. But yes, I am excited. I will probably pick this one up first, if I'm 100% honest. Yeah, I think it sounds really lovely. I hope it's nice. I think it's going to be nice. But yes, they are the 6 books I have for April. So as I said, obviously, February and March were kind of floppy in terms of finding books that I really enjoyed. I had a couple, but none that really stood out and made me love reading. or like not all of them made me love reading, if you see what I mean. I had one that was like, oh yeah, that's great, I love it, and then the others were kind of, this is rubbish. So I am really excited to have a stack of books that I have just picked purely on hoping that I love them and believing that I probably will. So yes, I'm anticipating that most of these will be 4 or 5 star reads. So fingers crossed that's how it goes. I hope you guys didn't mind the switch up for my TBR this month. Sometimes you've just got to switch it up and read what you want to read. And although the cards are pretty free in terms of giving me prompts that help me pick what I want, sometimes it's just a bit confining. So that's why I have just picked the ones that I'm really interested in. But yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and you weren't too thrown off by 2 videos in one. But I will see you soon. There will be March's update coming, cat, and also a book haul. So yeah, that's everything for me. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.